you continue the journey. So, continue the journey. Life will not be disintegrated if we if we do the practice of meditation regularly. Intellect will continue to shine and give deeper insight. That is what the Daniel is talking about. And the life will remain in the river of happiness, peace, and wisdom. Regular practice continues to purify the mind and destroy the negative traits one after the other that has been accumulated since our birth. So that is why I named this series Freedom, Happiness, and Wisdom. When we are in a meditative state, means when the mind is reflecting our true nature, we experience this freedom, happiness, and wisdom. We discover that they are descending from the top down to the bottom. You know, sometimes you may feel as if you are under a shower and the water is pouring down on the skin of the body and you start feeling that sense of coolness. The same thing happens in deeper meditation inside, as if it has released all the anxiety, duality, conflict, pain, pleasure from the body, mind, intellect. So, yes, Lara can listen. So, you see that what happens, what we are studying today is our fourth sutra. Vrati sarupyam itaratraha. So now we need to understand the first sutra was yoga is the highest state of mindfulness. It is a discipline and education. In the second sutra, we understood the mind should be emptied of its content. But we are very clear that not all the content should be emptied. Specific content should be emptied that causes anxiety, fear, duality, conflict, problem, suffering. Then the third sutra, last week we understood that what happens when you empty the mind of its content. When you empty the mind of its content, then what happens? Then I discover my real nature. What is that real nature? It is pure consciousness, which has five attributes: permanent happiness, love, wisdom, truth, and pure awareness. Now, if you do not live in a meditative state, then what happens? That needs to be properly and clearly understood. When we are not in a meditative state, mind goes back to the same habit. Do you remember the first three states are not meditative state? The mind starts living in the three meditative state based on the accumulated impressions. Then what happens? One example. We have a habit of reacting on a certain thing. So that habit is awaiting our expression even when we are relaxed. We try to be intelligent. No, I'm holding on my anger. I'm holding on my ego sense. So that holding on continues in a non-meditative state. You see, this great master has summarized everything in the first four sutras. Yoga is highest state of mindfulness. Mind lives in five subjective states. Three states are, but if you live in three states, you cannot become a meditator. So in order to get rid of the three states, You have to become a seeker. Now the seeker empties the mind of its content. So when there is a sense of emptiness, that emptiness reflects our real nature. That is the third sutra. Then what happens if you do not live in a meditative state? Those three states are constantly working behind. I don't like you. I hate you. What you have done. So all those stuff, all those impressions are already present in me in a non-meditative state. That is what Patanjali says. What he says? Sarupyam itaratra. What he says? That if I am not living in a meditative state, then those trigger may come and manifest and express in my life anytime. And the entire piece is gone. Vrati sarupyam itaratraha. So until all those impressions are gone, we have to continue the journey of meditation. That is the simple meaning. That needs to be understood. But as you continue the journey, the intellect shines with the new knowledge. But if the master tells you that these are the experiences you will undergo in meditation, then what happens? The mind creates that in imagination. And that imagination becomes a fanciful in meditation. Then because I have been imagining the beautiful experiences in meditation, the mind does not become empty. You see, that's why I'm very careful. I don't tell you what is going to happen until you start experiencing. I reflect on it. This may happen. Just allow these experiences to come and go. So then what is the use of studying further? We have already completed the entire journey of meditation in 4 sutras. Why Patanjali gave 195 sutras? Think of it. What comes to your mind? Did you listen to that perhaps second or the third talk, which I told you that every sutra is linked to the next one? So what you can make out in the 4th sutra, how it can be linked to the next one, think of it. Because that is why the knowledge is required. If there is no right knowledge in meditation, chances, that is the reason the mind is wandering. That is the reason the mind falls into sleep. That is the reason mind says, I don't like this practice, I like this practice. Now I'm coming up, I'm opening up slowly. So the moment your mind says, I don't like this, I like this, the reason being there is no clarity, there is a confusion. You got married to your partner, you are living with him or her. I don't like my partner. Will that work? It will invite conflict. The same thing happens. So now see that we have 195 sutras. Want to know deeper, want to go deeper. Are you inspired by this Master Patanjali? What should be the next sutra? So the next sutra is that what are these thought patterns that needs to be emptied? Can I know it clearly? Can I understand it clearly? So that I will take up in the next. You see that? Now another question Patanjali answers whether these thought patterns are painful, gives you the pain or pleasure, or both. And if they give me a pain, how to remove it? And if it gives me the pleasure, is pleasure worth living my life? You see that? So that is how the journey goes. Now, another question comes: what exactly is the practice of meditation? I want to understand first before I do it. So, Patanjali takes up what is practice. What is practice of meditation? You see, that is how, in the first four sutras, he summarized everything. He says, this is what it is. Finished. And then he digs our mind deeper and deeper and deeper. Understand how to drive, how to practice meditation, what exactly is the practice, what are the elements of the practice, what are the thought pattern that needs to be dropped or changed or transformed. There were two crazy young guys in their age of 23 and 24. So normally it happens in India. That's why we say India is a spiritual country, but nothing about spirituality. I'm just telling you the story that happens. So they saw different monks wearing the orange colored clothes. They have read couple of books that you get all the powers, huh, in the journey of meditation. And if you become a monk, then all the problems and the pain and the suffering drops. So at their young age, they went to the tailor, got the orange cloth stitched, and in the middle of the night, they changed their clothes, and from Delhi capital, they started the journey to the Himalayas in a train. In those days, long back in 84, 85, huh? Now see what happened, because they did not have a right knowledge about what it means by becoming a monk. They read something, they wore the cloth, they are sitting in the train, they both were looking at each other, and they were totally quiet, as if the monk remains always quiet. So one of them had an urge to take a tea and a coffee, but they have read some popular books, or the monk should not take coffee. So now the conflict started in their mind. It took 10 hours to reach to Rishikesh. In those days, there was a very slow train. So it used to take, passenger, we used to say passenger train. They came out. Now they were more disturbed in their mind how the people are looking at them, because they had a orange colored cloth. Then they went to a monastery. The head of the monastery saw that, oh, they are like me. So the room was given to them. Normally, the room in those days, the room was given to them free of cost. And 3 meals free. That is the beauty of India. Even you get 3 meals free, you get a room, and you can do the practice. So what happened? They both got a room, they entered into the room, and they started fighting. Is this the monkhood? Is this the journey of becoming a monk? They did not have the right understanding and the right knowledge what it means to become a monk. So, being a monk from outside is a symbolic expression that he has no profession at all, and he has dedicated his life to the spirituality and self discovery. Hence, whosoever looks at him wants to, should help him, to feed him, to give him a room, and to give him a room to stay, to respect him and to listen to his teachings. But these two guys did not know anything. That is our life. One of the young guy is the speaker. And then the conflict arose between both of us. The young guy said, now I will go back. I will never wear the monk. And I said, no, I don't want to go. You see, lot of conflict in the mind. But anyhow, I returned home again, and I never wore the orange-colored clothes again. But these are the experiences we undergo. Now apply this. I'm running after the money. I'm running after the job. I'm running after a person whom I like and dislike without understanding, without the proper knowledge. The mind goes into the stress and the suffering. So these kind of opposing thought enters into the mind when we do not practice meditation, when we do not have a right knowledge about meditation. So the master says, Vrati sarupyam itaratraha. In a non-meditative state, the mind lives in ignorance. What is that ignorance? Incomplete knowledge about myself. What is that incomplete knowledge about myself? Last point, and then we will practice meditation. It is very important. I become the doer and the enjoyer in my life. I will work hard. I will earn money. And I will enjoy. You see the doer and the enjoyer? From where this doer and the enjoyer comes. That builds up an ego sense, and that ego sense accumulates a lot of impressions in our mind. And these impressions are very extremely hard to go. Object. I see an object. Sense organ sees an object. Mind likes it or dislikes it. It creates an attachment and detachment. The mind feels if I grab it, I will be happy. But the happiness is not there in the object. But the mind feels that the happiness is there in the object. There comes a delusion, and the delusion creates an enjoyer and the doer. A non-meditative state always lives in being a doer and the enjoyer. I'm also eating some words. Do you understand? Return it again. Return it again. Think of it again. Object, any object. A person, a man, and a woman, or any article, the sense organs are attracted to it. Then the mind likes or dislikes it. That causes the attachment and detachment. Attachment and detachment causes to secure happiness in that object or a person. That is a delusion. And that delusion causes the enjoyer and the doer in me. Can you tell me where is the doer in you? Take an example. If driver is not there, you cannot drive the car. Car is an instrument. Clear? Sense organ is an instrument. Mind is an instrument. Intellect is an instrument. Where is the doer? So in delusion, the mind group them all together, and then it says, I am the doer and I am the enjoyer. It causes ego, ego sense creates the doer and enjoyer. That doer says, I'm fully busy, I'm running my whole life, I did not achieve anything. That is why I'm suffering. Right? And I have been working so hard. I earned lot of money. Huh? Now I don't have a luxury to eat what I like to eat. Did you understand? Nowadays, people die not because of hunger, but because of lot of choices for eating. You have 90% illnesses because of lifestyle. Are you getting it? Because I am the doer, because I am the enjoyer. So a non-meditative state of the mind causes the doer and the enjoyer in me all the time, and that causes endless suffering. And when you live in a meditative state, you know how to balance it. Why? The contents of the mind that is not required do not enter into your mind. That is what the Daniel was explaining before the beginning of his session. The intellect shines with the wisdom. Intellect, if I say, continues to shine with the wisdom. And that wisdom helps you in your personal excellence, in your professional excellence, in your social excellence. You need not to worry about it. It works. Remember, a meditative state and a non-meditative state. The fourth sutra, Vrati Sarupyam Itaratraha. Last simple meaning, if I don't live in meditative state, I am living in suffering, even if I experience peace and happiness. How I experience peace and happiness? Wake up in the morning and rock and roll music for younger people. I enjoy that music. So I'm getting the peace and happiness from outside. For them, it is their peace and happiness, and one day it breaks up. One day the delusion breaks up, then you start searching someone else. Then you get married, you divorce, you get married, you divorce. For what? For happiness. Why? Non-meditative person always perceives happiness is outside. That mind does not change in a non-meditative state. They get frustrated. They fight. Do you see that? So it means, I have been saying, again repeating, the intellect shines again and again. It becomes more creative because now it is in communication with the real self. So what should we have to do? You have traveled until now. We have to reach to a meditative state that is not reversible. You know, some of the chemical reactions are irreversible. We have to reach to that state. That is known as the success in meditation. No, I was explaining you before about the imagination. I closed my eyes. I said, mind crazy? You want to get attached to the body? I will show you. And I did that few minutes of the practice, and the body became so much light and free. Then I joined them all together. Don't do that practice. Disclaimer, let us start our journey. Let us do the practice. Close your eyes.